Hey, it's Cosmic Charles, and I'm back with some more loot loops. It's the only deck I've actually been playing, so it's the only content I have. I will make an effort to play a different deck for future videos. But I'm doing something different for this video. Rather than just record myself playing live, which is pretty difficult for me to do, my tongue gets really dry, my throat gets sore because the amount of actions that I need to take. It's crazy. And also, it takes a long time. I didn't really like my previous video. I thought it was like nearly unwatchable for how like long all the turns took. So what I did was I just recorded the visual of a couple of leagues and then chose one of them for the video today. Then I just played it back at 2 times the speed to make everything a lot faster. And I think that's a much better way of doing it. Yeah, so for loot loops, I'm going to do a little bit of a deck tech here and explain why I cut Rite of Flame. So Rite of Flame, because I've been missing Rite of Flame lately. Rite of Flame really made your turn twos happen much more often. Right now, I'd say you rarely get a turn two, whereas with Rite of Flame, it was happening like almost frequently. So I've been considering putting it back in, but the problem with Rite of Flame is that it means that you don't really have a sideboard, or you need to cut Seething Songs, but then you're kind of like shooting yourself in the foot. I did try a different build that had 2 copies of Desperate Ritual as like a couple more ways to go a little faster, but I didn't really like that. I like the 4th Lotus Petal and the 9th Familiar more than 2 copies of Desperate Ritual. Yeah, so I'm still thinking and still fiddling around about how to change the deck. And but for those of you who are unaware of how this deck works, I'll just do a brief explanation now, and I might do a card by card play explaining the choices. But essentially, what this deck is doing is it's trying to draw through its entire deck and mill out the opponent by using cost reducers like Thornscape Familiar, Nightscape Familiar, and Goblin and Archomancer in order to reduce your big scores and your pirate pillages to being mana positive. When you do that, you end up having 4, 8, 12, 16 ritual effects in your deck, and 12 of those ritual effects also draw you cards. So so you can easily like draw through your entire deck that way. Another way to help with that is Stream of Thought, but it helps because once you get low enough in library, maybe like under 30, you can shuffle back in some good action, or even previously. There's nothing wrong with doing it because you can always hit your flashback cards in the graveyard for card draw, and then increase the density of your deck, putting back in more like either the ritual effects or the Glimpse the Impossible effects, or Glimpse the Impossible, for example, in order to continue drawing through your deck. At that point, once you have the loop established, and the loop is pretty straightforward. So once you get to zero, I haven't really been doing it because I've been trying to do an open loop rather than a closed loop in order to generate more mana. But you can actually do a closed mana loop as well. Basically, once you have all of your Metamorphoses, once you get to 0 cards in library and you target your opponent, you need to shuffle back in 2 Glimpses, a Metamorphose, and a Stream of Thought if you don't have any other card draw. But if you have a lot of card draw, then you can just shuffle in 2 Metamorphose and a Glimpse if you don't have enough mana per se. So it just kind of depends on your mana situation, what your first 4 is. But once you get to the point that you have 2 Glimpses, access to 2 Glimpses, and your Metamorphoses, you've now gone infinite. So once you have that online and you have some extra things to shuffle in, you can shuffle in your Seething Songs as well. So let's say you have like 4 Metamorphose in exile and a bunch of treasure tokens. Like mana's not an issue. You can go Glimpse, you hit your stream back in, stream your opponent, shuffle back in some number of Seething Songs. So long as you don't go like above 5, you should be fine. 5 cards in library. Glimpse again, reveal your Seething Songs, chain that, Metamorphose, shuffle back in, start the loop over to get to that point. So that's more of like an open loop. But anyway, that's how the loop works. You mill out your opponent. And because you're milling out your opponent, there are some issues. Like you need the Weather Storm against Burn, for example. I've also lost to a, Lembas before to a combat step, which was pretty cool from the opponent. Yeah, so there are some issues with that. You could run some Force Draw spells in here, but those are blue. So I wouldn't, or black. They're blue or black, so you don't really get the cost reduction on them. But that is an option if you want to have a way to kill your opponent so they don't untap in the main or something like that. Yeah, so I'm gonna go through some of the cards now. So as you see here, Faithless Looting, Desperate Ravings, and Electric Revelation are all flashback cards. There are also cards that require discard, just like Pirate's Pillage and Big Score. So these cards are fuel for discard cards, as well as being discard cards themselves. So they're performing two roles in a similar way that Big Score and Pirate's Pillage are performing two roles in being both mana and card draw. So this really helps with the consistency of being able to draw through your whole deck. It also combines well with Stream of Thought because you can mill over a card with Flashback. Yeah, Desperate Ravings has a discard a card at random clause, which can be a little risky. So there are forms you can do to prevent that from, costing you the game. One thing you can do is have a Revolutionist in the deck and not on the battlefield or in the graveyard, because then it doesn't and enough mana to cast it at will. Because then it doesn't matter if you discard your second copy of Stream, you have Revolutionists in the deck. Even if you discard it, you can get it back. If this is already on the battlefield and you have a Stream of Thought in the graveyard, so the random discard could hose you, what you can do is you can't really cast it in that situation unless you're feeling risky, like you build up like 6 or 7 cards in your hand. You're pretty free to do it. Like I've done it before, but you can lose that situation. But let's say you have the Stream of Thought in hand in that situation. What you do is you hold control, you cast Stream, and then you cast your Desperate Ravings in response to the Stream on the stack. That way, if you do end up discarding your Stream of Thought, you can shuffle it back in with the Stream of Thought that's on the stack. All right, I think that pretty much covers it. I'll go to the sideboard. So the sideboard is pretty difficult. Like I said earlier, one of the reasons why I cut Rite of Flame is to have a sideboard. You can't really go under 24 card draw in the deck, so that kind of limits your sideboard, at least not without fizzling. That's what I found. Made my fizzle count way too high when it went below 24. Like, I really like the main deck of this deck with the Rite of Flame, but post-board, you just can't sideboard. You can take out like a Seething Song, maybe 2 Seething Song, but now you're kind of like weakening your ritual of the deck just to fit in your Rite of Flames. So it never really felt right for me to be doing that. So that's why Rite of Flame's not there anymore. It's so that I can sideboard. So your sideboard has a Stream of Thought. This is for playing around 1 copy of Grave Hate or an exile effect from your hand, something like that, just to help you out. Normally, what I will do if I'm trying to go like if I'm trying to like play around other things, I just cut the Revolutionist for a 3rd copy of Stream of Thought for a more safe bet for protection, because you cannot cast a Revolutionist at instant speed if it's an exile from a Glimpse. So it's a little safer against Grave Hate. Your Sea Smash are for decks that seem to focus on Grave Hate as their way against you. It's just because it has split second, you can actually dig for it before exposing yourself. If you have, like, let's say a Stream of Thought, both your streams in the graveyard somehow, or 1 stream, depending on how you've sideboarded. Rapid Vigor is for Wrath effects. I was running more, but I couldn't really fit any more into the deck. Currently, with this list, I have 3 Apostle's Blessing. I'm not sure about that, because I can always board in Rapid Vigor as a 3rd stream, and against blue-black, this is taking the place of your protection spells, because you need to bring in your Pyroblasts, and you don't really have very much you can board. Your board slot's basically the Nightscape Familiar, the 1 Lotus Petal, 1 Nightscape Familiar, 1 Desperate Raving, 1 Faithless Looting. That's and I guess 1 Revolutionist, but that's always for the Stream of Thought. That's the Earth's. I guess you could also do it for the Seed Smash if you're feeling a little risky, but you need to be feeling risky if you're doing that. Yeah. Geothermal Crevice is for cutting Lotus Petals against blue decks, where you're going to be hitting your land drops. Weather the Storms for decks that can untap and kill you with 0 cards in library. Dispel is for instant speed graveyard exile effects and a couple other things that are pretty niche. And then the very niche is Night Soil. This is for Cycle Storm. A savvy Cycle Storm player will be able to beat you games 2 and 3 every single time because of their Fairy Macabre. They just leave their mana open and then just have like a ritual effect and a Reap in the Graves. And then because you have to mill them to kill them, they can just exile it from the graveyard and instant speed. There is a way to play around that, so long as they don't have a Drainus Stinger on the board already, and that is to target yourself with Stream of Thought for the first however many times. hope they don't have the Macabre in hand, and then generate enough mana that you can mill them out all at once. That takes a very long time. I'm not sure if that's ever right, because you'll probably end up timing if you try that strategy, unless you kill them very quickly game one. Yeah, and also they could just have the Fairy Macabre in hand, because that doesn't play around an in-hand Fairy Macabre. What does, though, is Night Soil. Oh, and they also run, like, some effects that can give them hexproof as well, so, like, or rather Shroud, the Gilded Light. I used to run that in Cycle Storm as well, way back in the day when I used to play Cycle Storm. So instead what we do is we pivot to a different win con, which is Night Soil. With Night Soil, you can just... this is, by the way, exile 2 target creature cards as part of the casting cost, so they can't even respond to the exile with the Reaping the Graves. And you just make like an army of Saprolings and Familiars, and then you just attack. You become an aggro deck. You become a Night Soil deck, we'll say. You transition into a Night Soil deck against them, because Stream of Thought actually works really well with Night Soil in a deck that runs mostly like half the deck's creatures on your opponent's side. So that's pretty nice. Alright, I think that pretty much covers it. If you have any questions about the deck, you can just leave a comment and I will respond, and on to the league. Alright, here we are, match 1 of the league against Barf. So, what we're going to do is we're going to increase the speed to 2 times, and that'll make everything a lot easier. So they're usually on a faster deck. They're a leaderboard member, and I think they like to grind for ticks on Pauper. So we'll see if they have the patience here, and they get in for 3. I'll just play this Hickory Woodlot here. This does matter. I thought about playing the Mountain instead, but I thought like it would just be like a break even. I think I in fact might actually end up losing a mana here, because I need to cast this Seething Song before I can cast my Goblin and Archomancers. So I think, no, it was mana neutral, but I could have had 2 Mountains out. Depends on what, so I guess it didn't really matter, never mind. So I play a Lotus Petal, and then I do a random draw, and I go Seething Song into green, into Thornscape Familiar, and Electric Revelation, and now I can Pirate's Pillage. So now that I have all 3 of these out on the battlefield, I'm fine. I don't really need to worry too much. It's just a matter of drawing through the deck now. Seething Song, Glimpse the Impossible, Manamorphose, adding red, blue. Now I can Electric Revelation, discarding one of those cards. And Stream of Thought, targeting myself. I'll shuffle back in the stream, the Glimpse, and the Glimpse. Okay. Should just press OK there. And now I can go Desperate Ravings, into a Glimpse, into a Pirate's Pillage. So Desperate Ravings is a random draw, but a lot of the time, because you have just so many things with flashbacks, that the random part doesn't really matter. You do need to run the Revolutionist, just in case you discard one of your win cons, though. And now I can go Manamorphose. Again, just trading off here. The odds of us fizzling after at 8 cards in library are really, really low. So it looks like we did in fact get there. And I'll just keep... Oh, and our opponent concedes. Alright. They saw the writing on the wall. So against Burn, I bring in a couple protection spells. You need the Weather, because it buys you like at least 1 more turn. Because they can kill you on their upkeep with like double Bolt if you wait too long. So this Weather makes that line not possible. I have been considering boarding in more protection. The problem is a lot of Burn players have been tapping out against me, so I've mostly just been discarding it. However, lately they've started playing a little smarter, so maybe I should have like a 3rd protecting spell in there. Alright, they go Goblin Tomb Raider, and they swing in. It looks like they're missing their 2nd land drop. So here, I have an Apostle's Blessing, so it means I don't necessarily have to go for it. So I might just do like a little value draw here. If they had, of course, if they drew like land, bolt, but with 1 mountain I felt it was safe. I have the double protection here, by the way, so I think I will be safe. They attack first, wisely. I Apostle's Blessing myself down to 8, and I'm going to try and win here. I don't have too much going on. I have a fair bit of mana, not too much card draw, and like my mana is not going to be that good. I'm going to discard this Apostle's Blessing. Anyway, the opponent goes GG's because they don't have the patience. But that, you know what, that's understandable. Alright, that was the first match. On to match 2. Okay, we're back for match 2. Let's check this out. So I should probably change my speed to 2 times again. Make this a little more palatable. So they go island, which is not good for me because I kept a very dicey hand here, against blue in particular. I was hoping like one more mana I could go off, but against blue decks, generally you need to have lots of lands because there's going to be a lot of like, draw, go, back and forth. Yeah, so we might not be getting game 1 here, unfortunately. Although against this matchup in particular, which is mono blue, I'm actually still positive in my record against them. I think this was like the 5th time I played it, or the 5th or 4th time I played it, and I think I won every other time. So let's see. They go island and they get in for 3, and they're just holding up a wall of counter, and I'm just not getting there on the land drops. So this was a pretty risky hand, and I got punished for my keep here. Had I known it was mono blue, I would have mulliganed into a hand with hopefully looking for more land so I can actually do this draw, go back and forth. Because I found game 1 actually to be pretty decent against them. But here I'd consider conceding. The opponent's taking a very long time on their ponders, and like you can. Like, I also take a long time to play this deck as well. Yeah, so I think we'll see. I'll keep playing it out here. We'll see how we do. So I do finally hit another land drop, but it might be too late at this point. Yeah, and our opponent again taking a very long time. So they go, and they didn't reveal anything. They play another island, and just holding up a wall of counter. So they're probably never going to tap out. So what does that mean? Oh, they do tap out for a Cryptid Serpent. So this is my best opportunity to go. I should just go for it now, and hopefully we can get there. I don't know how possible that's going to be without, rituals in hand, because I don't even have a Manamorphose right now. And our opponent is taking their time. In fact, if they counter this, I'd probably just have to concede. So we're hoping they don't counter this. They're taking their time, trying to think about whether or not to counter this. And they force spike. I will pay. And I'll play a Thornscape Familiar, and I'm forced to pass the turn back. Of note, they only have 2 cards in hand. So if they flip... Now, there was an argument for me just to go break my Lotus Petal, Electric Revelation, discarding like a Faithless Looting, and then just hope to hit like Mountain Seething Song, which was probably the best option I have, because this is lethal coming in. So oh, it's not. I'll be at 1. I'll be at 1, because I can block the Delver with my Goblin and Necromancer. Our opponent's brainstorming. And this is at double speed, by the way, as well. I mean, like, you're allowed to take your time if you want. I did put it on double speed, right? Didn't I? I did, yeah. And they get in. I will go to 1. And I believe pretty much any counterspell... I'm hoping for a Manamorphose off the top. They boomerang, which I concede, because that means there's nothing I can really do. I suppose if I drawn a... Lotus Petal, not Lotus Petal, a Manamorphose there, I could have been okay. But they win game 1. Let's see if we can win game 2. So here I bring in my crevices. I go down on Lotus Petals. This is important for, like, again, just having your land drops. I also bring in my 3 Pyros here, taking out that. And you could bring in a 3rd copy of Stream as well, but I don't think I'm going to. There's also an argument for, like, bringing in Nightscape Familiar in order to, like, get ahead of Hydroblast, but I decided not to. So I can't really keep that hand. I don't really like Geothermal Crevices by themselves. So instead I'll just bottom a Manamorphose. So I may not have been the right call. That's my only source of... well, not my only source. I have a big score. So here if they tap out, I am going to go for a big score. It is a costly big score. I don't like doing it this way. But you just need to make something happen here. And this does ramp me up pretty nicely. So there is a Necromancer and a Manamorphose, so things are looking up, and I have the Pyroblast as well. I am pretty low on card draw. That Electric Revolution costs 4, so with the Goblin and Archomancer on the table, it wouldn't be that much. I draw another land, which is good. I want to build up. I have to be careful though, because you can get to a point where they just have so much interaction up, it's nigh impossible to win. Unlike Turbo Party, for example, you can't board in 6 copies of Pyroblast in this deck because you are trying to draw through your entire deck. So you can't really afford to have too much interaction. Our opponent goes Tolarian Terror. Now the question is, do I think I can go for this off of a single card draw? Because this is the time to go if there was ever a time. I think I probably will. I mean, Manamorphose just draws 1 card. I do have an Electric Revolution in the graveyard, and I also have this Seething Song. Now, and I guess this Power Blast will just be discard fodder. You could wait 1 more turn, but I feel like you're just better set by going for it now. Go red, green. There's a Thornscape Familiar, so that was pretty good. I'm going to go Electric Revelation, discard that. I keep the Seething Song in hand because I might want to discard it. I'm going to cast it now. I'm going to go Electric Revelation, discarding Pyroblast. Manamorphose, so looking okay. Still a little dicey, though. There's a Pirate's Pillage. So now I can discard the Sandstone Needle or the Pyroblast. Another Narcomancer. So I'll hit that. Now my Electric Revolution costs 1. Another Electric Revelation. And I hit a Stream of Thought. So I'm going to mill myself, hoping to hit some cards with Flashback in my graveyard before I cast this Revolution. I hit 2 Glimpses in that pile of 4, which is unfortunate because that would have probably been very good for me. So I don't think this was actually a good stream. I'm also now down just to 2 treasure tokens. I probably should have waited. So I'm going to Electric Revolution, discard that, and we whiff. So it looks like that stream may have cost me this match here. I should have waited on that. Again, I was thinking, hey, let's just up the amount of good draw by shuffling in things. But I had 35 cards in my library. I don't think putting in 4 good cards is really going to make that much of a difference in terms of the odds. So I probably should have waited. I don't think the blue was worth the loss of mana. Now, the real reason why it mattered there was because I actually had a really good top 4. I had 2 glimpses. And I ended up conceding there because, I just felt like I was out of it at that point. I didn't have to concede, but they had 5 cards in hand. I haven't seen any. I saw 1 counterspell. I haven't seen any Hydroblasts. So the odds of me coming back from are just 0. And I didn't even have anything in my graveyard to draw with it either. So yeah, so that's why I conceded there. And hopefully we can pick up the next match. All right, on to the next match. Okay, match 3. This was against Bosch and Roll. We're going to increase the speed again. And we'll see how we did. So I'm going to go Hickory Woodlot to start here. There could be an argument that should have been a Sandstone Needle, because if you hit a Manamorphose into Seething Song, then you can go off. But I thought maybe it was better just in case the opponent... I could just go to Thornscape Familiar now. But we are against a deck that runs Drossfire Bridge. So that means that I might be in... this Thornscape Familiar would probably be dead if I just cast it out. So I'm going to wait. I'm going to go for a Pirate's Pillage, discarding a Faithless Looting to get... draw cards and get some treasure tokens. You're almost always going to want to discard the Faithless Looting unless you have multiple lands that you don't want, because Faithless Looting is much better in the graveyard than it is in the hand. So here they tap out. They might have a Snuff Out, but I have 3 cost reducers, 4 cost reducers now. I could lead on the Nightscape Familiar if I really wanted to, which I considered doing, but I decided, you know what, this is just so much better to do it this way that I would just do it like this. So now we can start going off. All right, that was a really good draw. Yeah, so I'm going to make a lot of treasure tokens this game because I was able to go 3 familiars right off the hop. And I'm going to go a Desperate Ravings. That draws me into an Electric Revelation. And I'm going to discard this Sandstone Needle. So this red gets me to Seething Song. I'm not going to Revolutionist yet, I don't think. I think it's better just to wait. Because once the Revolutionist is on the field, these Desperate Ravings can... And also a Stream of Thought is in the yard. You can lose to a Desperate Raving. So you kind of want to hold on to the Revolution as long as you can. So we did discard it at random, so I'm going to bring back a big score now with it, and just keep drawing through. And there's a glimpse, I'm going to glimpse, and there's a stream. So because I have a stream in exile, what you can do here is, I'm not doing it here because I don't think I need to, but you could just flash back all of your Desperate Ravings, because you can't lose while that's in exile. But I'm not too concerned about that. Like, one thing you can also do with the Desperate Ravings is you can hold priority, Stream of Thought, and then cast a Desperate Ravings, and that way you won't be able to lose your only out either. Actually, because then you can, if you discard the Stream of Thought, you can shuffle it back in with the Stream of Thought you cast. There's a big score, Hickory Woodlot, Glimpse the Impossible, or there we go. Holding on to the Glimpse just in case I have an odd number of cards in my library at the bottom or something like that. Seething Song, Electric Revelation, discard this. I'm going to Stream of Thought, probably still myself here. I have pretty good mill, 2 Electric Revelations, and an Archomancer and a Lotus Petal. But at this point, we've basically established the loop. So you can go to the next match. Sorry, not to the next match, because this is only game 1. But the loop is finished here, so you can fast forward to the next game if you'd like. Because now it's just a matter of time. Glimpse. There we go. Seething Song. Pirate's Pillage. One of the things I like to do is to leave some cards in my library. Like, if I can tell by my graveyard that I have a good few left, you can start like a little earlier on milling them, and then just have a lot more resources for building up to like a lot of replications, which is currently what I'm building up towards right now. I'm attempting to get enough mana that I can replicate quite a lot. But one of the things you need to pay attention to is Manamorphose takes time to click the blue, about half as much time as a Stream of Thought targeting 4. So you need to be cognizant of this actually ending up taking like a decent amount of time. So you need to pay attention to how you're doing it. Like, for example, maybe I should have shuffled back in a Seething Song at that point. They're still not quite at replication area. Typically I like to do that once they're around 24 or less than 29 basically. Then you can think about then you can start thinking about replicating and killing them. All right, and Bosch concedes. So I wonder what they were on. I'm pretty sure it's. I was pretty sure that it was the. What's it called? Like the new Gleezer deck or whatever, the one with the artifacts, because I had played against it on one of my previous leagues. The problem with that one is their mass field wipe is really good against X1s, and they also run Snuff Out. So Nightscape Familiar as like a way of getting around Snuff Out isn't very good, and Apostle's Blessing as a way of protecting your Thornscape Familiar isn't very good, because they can just respond with the Kraut Clan Shaman. One thing you could do is you could cut your Grave Hate for a repeal as a way of dealing with both Grave Hate and with Kraut. I just think that one of repeal isn't really a good answer to Kraut, and the Grave Hate that I do have, not the Crash Through, whatever it's called, Smash Through, whatever it is this does a better job at Grave Hate. It's one of that you can dig to, which is how my sideboard works. So they go Malevolent Rumble. Then you need to choose between Sadistic Glee and Ichor Wellspring and Swamp. I imagine it's going to be. I actually don't know what they're going to pick here, and neither do they from the looks of it. So it looks like they choose to pick the Swamp, so I guess they're hurting for mana. So at this point, I did draw a second Thornscape Familiar. It's very tempting to just go Thornscape Familiar here. So I think I will. It's possible that this deck doesn't even run that much removal. Sometimes they don't. And they draw 2 cards. And they go Duress, and they're probably going to take the Glimpse here. I think that's probably the best card they could take. Because everything, like, you wouldn't take the Electric Revelation here. I mean, there's no way. It is Flashback. You have to take the Glimpse. Now, I only have 1 red mana, so I'm hoping to draw, like, a Manamorphose or a Big Score or something like that. And there is a Kraut Clan Shaman, so that's unfortunate. That's very good against me. So I'm going to go Electric Revelation, and I'm going to discard this Hickory Woodlot, and I'm going to draw 2 cards. I draw 2 Desperate Ravings. Not really what you want to see. That's more discard fodder. I offer the trade here because I have 2 Thornscape Familiars in hand. They decline. I mean, I don't really deal damage to kill the opponent, which is one weakness of this deck. is that you can kind of pressure your opponent's life total when you're kind of doing a back and forth like this, but in this deck it doesn't matter because you don't kill by attacking their life total. They go Basking Brood Scale, and they go... What do they do here? They go Duress, so they can take my other... They can take my Electric Ravings and just leave me stranded with a pair of Desperate Ravings and only 1 red mana. So it's not looking too good. There's a second red mana. So I'm going to cast out one of these Thornscape Familiars and Desperate Ravings. And I'm going to Desperate Ravings again. And I'm going to cast this Lotus Petal. And now is a good time for them to wipe the board if they were paying attention. Let's see if they're paying attention. Because I can't cast anything right now. I need this Lotus Petal to resolve. Yeah, there they go. So, they wipe the board. I can pass it back. I'm in pretty dire shape, though, because it's looking like it's going to take me 2 turns to come back from this. And they just go Glee, so that's the game. All right, on to game 3. So I got crouched out of the game there. I think I should... I think just resubmit. You could bring in a Rapid Vigor or a Nightscape Familiar for their snuff outs, but I think it's better just to go with it. So I can't keep that. I can keep this. It is very slow. I'll just bottom a Hickory Woodlot. I am inclined to keep it because I don't like Mulligan getting to 5. When you have a keepable hand, you should probably keep the keepable hand. That's one thing about cutting the Rite of Flames. It's kind of... It's made it much more difficult to go fast. And there's our friend, the Krauk Shaman. Let's see what we can do. Like, Apostle's Blessing's not even that great against Krauk. So now I need to figure out what to discard. I'll just discard this Revolutionist. I can't pay for the Madness, but, you know, I should be fine. Alright, so I did hit a Goblin and Archimancer. That's good. I'm not going to attempt to go off here because I can't. I could just cast it and leave open the Apostle's Blessing, but I don't think I want to do that. They swing in for 1, and they miss a land drop, so it is go time. You might get lucky here. We have the Blessing for like a Bolt or something as well. I go red, red. Metamorphose again, red, red. And now I can go big score. I should be a Pirate's Pillage, by the way, because it's the sorcery speed one. And that's pretty good. That gets me a Thornscape Familiar. So I can cast this Thornscape Familiar and use my Apostle's Blessing to protect it. I'm also going to cast another Goblin and Archimancer. And let's see what they do. I didn't have my auto yields on, by the way. I was just making sure. They go Krauk, so now I can protect my Thornscape. And I can convert this floating mana into treasure tokens, so I can empty their mana pool. I still have 3 Stream of Thought, though, so I should be fine. I go red, Metamorphose, red, 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 and Electric Revelation, discard the Sandstone Needle, Glimpse. There's a Mountain, that's good. Lets me go big score and make some more treasure. So now I can Electric Revelation, discarding the Thornscape. I'm going to mill myself, get this show on the road. Put in a Glimpse, a Metamorphose, and a Metamorphose. Seems pretty good. I'm kind of low on cards in hand, so I didn't want to put in any big scores or anything like that. There's Lotus Petal, and now I can go red into red, red. Electric Revelation, discarding the looting, and Pirate's Pillage, making some more treasure tokens. So it's pretty unlikely that we'll mill here. Right now, I was just considering whether or not to cast Stream. I think I should cast Stream here. I have a lot of mana. Like, I have 3. I'll have 2 floating after this. Just make sure, like, you shuffle in a lot of your mana effects. So here, I take my time. I think what I should do is I should put in all my pillage and big scores. But instead, I decide to do it... Yeah, there we go. This is what you do when you're kind of low on mana. I didn't have to Stream of Thought myself, but I didn't want to run out of good cards. So there's Seething Song, Metamorphose, red, blue, blue. Now I can go Revelation into Seething Song, into another Revelation. Did I have another Revelation in the graveyard? If I did, I should have cast one for the graveyard. And Glimpse, Glimpse. Alright. Shuffling in both Streams, which you don't need to do, but it just makes me feel safer in case they have like a Fairy Macabre in hand. Stream of Thought, Metamorphose. And our opponent concedes after I target them. I targeted them there because I'd already shuffled in a bunch of really good things and I hadn't hit them, so I didn't really want to waste the mana. All right, so we are currently 2-1, on to match 3. All right, match 4 against Love Crayons. Let's see how we did. So I have to mulligan this, and I can keep that. Let's see. So I'm going to go Sandstone Needle, and our opponent's going to go Twisted Landscape. So I'm thinking this is another Glee deck. They usually run that card. So I'm going to go Pirate's Pillage, discarding the Faithless Looting. And I have the Nightscape Familiar in hand, so I can try and do something next turn perhaps if I draw some mana or if I feel pressured. They go Swamp and Forest into... Let's see. They're going to cast something. Let's see what it is. Maybe I should just fast forward a bit here. That's right, they lost internet connectivity for a little bit here, I think. Alright, and there we go. Into a Mire Triton. And they mill Witness and a Chrysalis. So it's looking more and more like some type of grindy Glee deck. I'm just going to play the Hickory Woodlot. I'm not convinced I can get there in a Revelation and a Desperate Ravings. And they go another Mire Triton, and they mill themselves a Cash Grab, which is basically like another mill 4 return to permanent or something like that. So now I can go Nightscape Familiar. The Glimpse makes this a little more likely that I hit mana or more familiars. I did hit another familiar, so that's good, and a Lotus Petal. So now I can go an Archomancer, and I can start attempting to draw. I'll go Revelation, and I think I'm forced to pass here, unfortunately. No mana. They go Malevolent Rumble, and they reveal... Oh, Tortured Existence and a Grave Scrabbler. I absolutely love Tortured Existence. I've seen a few builds of it over the years. I think my favorite one is like the Tortex build that I witnessed once. That's a pretty good play, because I can't sacrifice my spawn token there. There's actually a lot of really nice things that they released for Tortex from the new set. So I sacrificed the Anarchomancer because I already have another Anarchomancer, and I'll need 3 anyway, so I might as well. And I'm gonna go this, that, Pirate's Pillage, discard the Needle. Now I can go Electric Revelation, discard the Woodlot, and there's my Thornscape Familiar, so I can go red, Glimpse the Impossible, and there's a Seething Song. So we should have enough mana now to be able to draw through our whole deck. And now it's just a matter of clicking through it. So it looks like we got there on game 1. There's very low chance of fizzling now because my graveyard's pretty stacked, and I have like a bunch of just draw fours. Yes, the Desperate Ravings is at random, but yeah, and the Stream of Thought will just seal the entire deal up, because now I can just make it very... I can put a lot of glimpses in, so like with 3 glimpses out of 18, it kind of helps. It helps actually a fair bit. So in Desperate Ravings, I discard an Archomancer. I'm going to Electric Revelation, and I reveal 2 of my glimpses, and the opponent concedes. So on to so what I have to worry about here is Fairy Macabre. They can set up a loop with their tortured existence, where they can just for 1 black mana exile things from your graveyard. So I am going to bring in the Night Soil in order to stop that. Night Soil as an alternate win con is probably not going to be the case against Tortured Existence, but it is necessary to stop them from being able to just completely exile you. I've gone max protection against Fairy Macabre. I can, with my Revolutionist and 3rd Stream, that means I can play around 2 Fairy Macabre effects, if they have it in hand. One of the problems about milling your opponent as part of your win condition is you give them some options. Alright, so this is a keepable hand. Tortex is pretty slow. I'm expecting to see Mesmeric Fiend there, so normally having your Stream of Thought in hand means like an auto mulligan, but because I have 3, or can mean an auto mulligan or risk losing to a Mesmeric Fiend, but because I run 3, I can afford to keep this it's a little safer. And they go Twisted Landscape, and I can just go Sandstone Needle. They go Troll of Khazad-dûm into a Haunted Mire. Interesting. They play Haunted Mire, and they sack the landscape for a swamp. I'm just going to go Sandstone Needle and take my time. What do they do now? They go Malevolent Rumble, and what do they reveal? Revealing Gorilla Shaman and Crypt Rats as the cards I care about. Looks like they took a Gorilla Shaman. So that kind of stuffs me, because my next play was to ramp out. I'm going to do it anyway, because what else am I going to do? I'm not going to go Glimpsy Impossible. So I decided to go Pirate's Pillage, discard the Desperate Ravings, draws me a land, so that's pretty nice. I am going to lose both of these treasure tokens, but it's going to cost them 3 mana to do it. 1 mana for the Gorilla Shaman and 2 for each token. And they go Tortured Existence, so now they're going to have like Gorilla Shaman on a loop. I like this deck very much, the opponent's deck, and also my own deck, obviously. But I like the creature toolbox, hate bears style type things. So now I can go green, Goblin and Archomancer. I should wait on that Seething Song, just go this, add another green and another red. Didn't hit the Thornscape, so I'm just going to Seething Song. Oh, I guess I should actually Glimpse first. And now I hit the Thornscape, so now I can save 1 mana. You should always try and be cognizant about saving mana. There's a Glimpse, and now I can cast that. I should just cast this Nightscape Familiar. There we go. And of note, I have a Night Soil, and so that's going to hose them pretty hard. The question is whether or not they can... I don't think I'll need it, to be honest. They do have the... Like, even if they have Fairy Macabre in hand, they would need multiple copies of Fairy Macabre. And they don't even have the mana to bring back the Tortured Existence. So I'm not even going to need to cast this Night Soil, I don't think. Big score, I'm going to discard an Electric Revelation. And now I'm going to Stream of Thought. And the first Stream of Thought is free for them to exile, because if they have it. Oh. And they conceded, so they probably didn't have any Fairy Macabre. And again, I could play around at least 1, possibly 2, so long as I didn't exile the Revolutionist. Alright, that was match 4. On to the final match of the league. Okay, match 5. This is for the 4-1. Let's see how we do. So I'm going to keep this. It's 1 land away from, or 1 mana away from being able to profitably cast this big score. One thing I've never done is to sack the Crevice in order to ramp out a big score, but maybe that's something to consider doing. That Lotus Petal means I can cast this big score on turn 3. Our opponent seems to be on Bogles, which is a very good matchup for us. We're just going to be slightly faster. They go... Oh, I should... there we go. Malevolent Rumble. Revealing Ethereal Armor, an Abundant Growth, and a Forest. And it looks like they take the Forest, strangely enough. And I just play the Crevice and pass the turn. I'm not under really any pressure. They go Mass, which can't be right. I mean, I guess if that's their only enchantment, but I don't know. Don't know what the opponent's doing over there. I'm going to cast this Lotus Petal, and I'm going to go double an Archomancer into Seething Song. Or I guess I can't, into Manamorphose, into double an Archomancer. Into a Seething Song. And now I can go Glimpse, Lotus Petal, Pirate's Pillage away this Revelation. And I can Pirate's Pillage away this Hickory Woodlot. And I can go Seething Song. And big score away this Needle. Or this, or play the Golden Archomancer, yeah. Start making those profitable. Sometimes you can get hypnotized from playing this deck and like forget about your board state. So I'm going to mill myself. I'm going to shuffle back in this Glimpse, this Manamorphose, and this Pirate's Pillage. Okay, I'm going to Electric Revelation away the Thornscape. I'm going to go Manamorphose and go red. Big score away this Nightscape Familiar. Then I'm going to go Desperate Ravings. Oh, this is something I meant to mention. So what I'm doing here, I think it's actually better to Desperate Ravings from Graveyard or Exile rather than when you have Desperate Ravings in hand, because they're fine to discard, and it kind of like pads you a little bit from discarding something good. I've started doing that, and that's been much better than casting them from hand. And there we go, and now I can go Glimpse, and Lotus Petal, and red for a Pirate's Pillage, discard this Lotus Petal, and red for a big score, discarding the Thornscape Familiar, and now I can just discard these Desperate Ravings. Manamorphose, red. So it's very unlikely we fizzle here. In fact, I think it's pretty much impossible. Yeah, we can draw our whole deck now, I think. So we got there. This is now... We can draw our entire library, so this is a loop. I am going to mill myself once more, just to make that a little easier. And there we go. I'm going to bring in... I only need 2 glimpses. I have 2 in exile, so I'm just going to shuffle in 1 to help draw through the extra cards. And we go Manamorphose, red, red, glimpse. There's another stream, so I'm going to stream them this time. So one of the reasons why I like to stream immediately is because it just kills them faster. Every time you're not milling them, you're not winning. So it just for like time considerations. So there's Glimpse. I'm going to go Seething Song now, and I'm going to start going double blue with these Manamorphoses, and just build up to a point where I have so many treasure tokens that I should be able to kill them pretty quickly here. Again, under 29 is usually when I go for the replicate kill. That number's divisible by 4. It's not too difficult to kick 6, but or even like 5 or 6 is pretty manageable. Over that, it gets a little harder to get there in a timely fashion. So Stream of Thought. I mean, you can if you've like had a turn where you just went like all 3 right away and then just started going, then just started making tons of treasures. But it usually doesn't happen that way. And a Seething Song. Glimpse. Seething Song, Seething Song. They're at 31, so I'm pretty close now to just killing them. I think maybe on the next pass I should have enough mana. Let's see, that's 1924 mana, so that means I can kick it 5 times, which isn't quite enough. But they concede anyway because they see the writing on the wall. Alright, so now we're on to game 2 against Bogles, a very good matchup. So we're probably going to get the 4-1 here. They're just not fast enough. They typically kill on turn 4, and you can easily kill on turn 3. So this hand isn't really keepable. I almost kept it there. So we're going to 5. So this is a turn 4, so this gives, like, I'm not doing anything until turn 3 right now, so this does give our opponent a shot. But that Thornscape Familiar does change things. So that means I can cast it out now. Well, actually, I can cast out both my... yeah, I can cast out both. But instead, I decide to wait. Ah, yes, because of Thraben Charm. That's why. I've seen these lists play Thraben Charm before, so I decided not to expose myself to that. They get in for 4. And I'm going to go Lotus Petal, red, Narcomancer, Thraben, Thornscape, and now I can go red, red. Pirate's Pillage, discard this Crevice. Pirate's Pillage, discard that Lotus Petal. Seething Song gets rid of our mana problems, and then Pirate's Pillage, this Desperate Ravings away. Now I can Glimpse, Seething Song, Glimpse. Electric Revelation is pretty good. I'm going to cast this Nightscape Familiar, though, and I'm going to draw a card with this Desperate Raving so that I can cast that other card. That's one of the nice things. Well, it's one of the reasons why Desperate Ravings is in the deck, is because you can use it on an empty hand, or when you have something you don't want to discard, you can like take a gamble about not discarding it. So I'm going to Electric Revelation the Sandstone Needle, go red, red, blue. I don't think I have enough mana to cast this Stream of Thought yet, although I am pretty close. Maybe I just should. That should do it. So I can go this, that, and I should stream myself now, because I have enough mana that I should be fine. So there's Glimpse, and I'm thinking about what to put in now. I think it should just be all my glimpses, I guess, or glimpse, Manamorphose. I think I have enough mana. I should be fine. There's a Pirate's Pillage. I guess I'll glimpse first. Lotus Petal. I have another Glimpse in exile. So we probably got there. Well, I know we got there again, but at this point, it's extremely unlikely that we would ever fizzle. So, looks like we got there. At this point, it's just pretty much going through the loop. Because my deck is just ram full of good stuff. There's going to be 13 cards, and I'm shuffling in 3 more hits. So, yeah, we got there. That's one of the nice things about Stream of Thought. It makes your combo very unlikely to fizzle. And I'm really taking my time here for some reason. I wonder why. Sometimes I get confused partway through the combo. Red, red. There's another Stream of Thought, so I'm going to stream, or I'm not going to stream yet. Manamorphose, red, red, Glimpse, Seething Song. I should stream them at least, but I decided instead I'm just going to draw my whole deck. Alright, Electric Revelation, that makes things pretty simple. And I'm going to stream them. One reason to do it that way, by the way, instead of like milling yourself again, is just to have cards in hand for things to discard in your graveyard. For example, if you have a lot of Electric Revelations or Faithless Lootings, you can draw your deck instead of milling your deck, so you have cards to discard for them. I'm going to shuffle in like that. I'm going to go Glimpse the Impossible, Seething Song, and you know the drill. This is the loop, so our opponent is dead. They just don't concede, which is fair because, this does take a while, and your opponent's under no obligation to concede to an infinite loop on Magic Online. But we have more than enough time. We're not going to time out. So right now I'm doing a bunch of Metamorphosing. That does take away time. It's not necessarily the right thing to do, but I'm just trying to build up a lot of stuff here. So the fastest way to do it now, actually, it would just be to only shuffle in my streams now when I hit them, like my streams, my Metamorphoses, and just do it like that. And maybe I guess one glimpse, because I don't think it's going to be fast enough just to ramp out. But this is what I am doing the ramp way, but I think the fastest way is just to do it like this, what I'm doing now, which is just to go, okay, just only use Metamorphoses, and, or not only use Metamorphoses, just stream as much as you possibly can. And I go Metamorphose. Like, you can't always do it, but when you have enough things in exile, enough mana floating, what you can do is you can just only shuffle in like 2 cards, and then stream them that way. Stream, and that way you kind of like lessen the loop. Glimpse. However, this actually did work out pretty quickly. See, I'm not certain about what's faster because they are dead here. They weren't. I don't think I could have done 5, but maybe I could have. Now I definitely can, because I only need to kick it 4 times. So we kick it, and they are dead. Or I decided to go blue just in case I miscounted. And cast with Replicate. I only need to do it 4 times now, and our opponent's dead. Of note, you need to be, when you game 1, you should look at your opponent's deck after you've exiled it. Don't just go like immediately to sideboarding. I don't always do that, but the information can be valuable, particularly against decks that may or may not be running Snuff Out. You can see if they run Snuff Out, and then that makes boarding a little easier. All right, so that was the league. We got the 4-1. And yeah, I had a lot of fun playing it. I'm considering changing my sideboard a little bit, like cutting these Nightscape Familiars for more protection. I'm not certain about that, though. All right, have a good one.